So we discussed the idea of education and whether education should be free or should be paid. So this was the last thing we talked about. And we listened to the conversation between Matt, Amy, Ben, Jackie, and Carol. So they were talking about education, if it should be free, if it should be paid. So we listened to their argument. And we also talked about exercise number 3 and 4. We finished this part, agreeing, disagreeing. We talked about opinions. We did this part. I think the last thing we finished was, okay. Do you remember this? We also did number 7 and 8 when we said of these sentences and whether you agree with them or not. So for example, number 1, school holidays are too long. Some of you thought this was true, that school holidays need to be shorter because students in Libya, you know, they don't work, they don't study very much, so they stay very long without school. Okay, just a second, sorry. Okay. Okay, just give me 1 second. I want to send the link to some of the students. Okay. Can you see the book? Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm taking some time. I just want to send the link. Okay, almost done. Okay, tamam. Okay, so we talked about all of this and we discussed the different opinions. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of listening. So I want to take you to the listening exercise. Here in number 1 and 2, we want to talk a little bit about pronunciation. So here we want to talk about this interesting letter, the letter E. When it comes at the end, sometimes it makes a change in the pronunciation of the word. So for example, here we have hat, win, and not. So it says, which letter can sometimes change the sounds of A, I, and O? Of course, the letter is the letter E at the end. So you can see that hat, when we add E, how do we say this word? Who can read this word for us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you, doctor?
Hi, Samiha, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. What about you?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm fine.
Okay.
How was your holiday?
Very good, very nice.
Najat said she forgot all her English. Do you still remember your English?
Slightly, yes. Slightly forget.
Okay. Yes, Najat, correct. Hate, that's right. Hat, when we add an E to the end, the sound of the letter A changes. So hat becomes hate. What about win when we add an E to the end? How does it change?
Wine.
Wine, that's correct. And what about not?
Not.
Note. Yeah, so you can see that this letter E, it changes the words in very interesting ways.
Yeah.
All right, so now what we want to do here, we want to listen to this and also maybe practice this little change. And after that, we want to take a look at the box. And we want to put these words, we want to put them in groups and see how they work, see how we can change them. So let me take you to the listening first. So CD1, track 50. So this is CD1. Okay, here it is. Okay, so all I want you to do is listen and repeat.
Track 50. 1.
Hat. Hate.
Hat. Hey.
Good.
2.
Win.
Wine.
Wine.
Win. Wine.
That's it.
3.
Not. Note.
Not.
Not. Note.
Very nice. That's it. Okay, so we want to do the same thing, but you can see this box of words. So what we want to do is, it says, look at these words. How do we say the letters in bold? So we have 6 different boxes, okay? So we have the first box is the one at the top. This is the box where, okay, I don't want to give you the answer. Okay, let's start with this box first. So this box, we have the A sound like plan, hat, A. The second one, we have the I sound like win. So this is the short I sound, win. And here we have the A sound like not. In the second box, it's the opposite. So we have the A sound like hate. Here we have the I sound like wine. And here we have the O sound like note. All right. So we want to put all of these words in the right boxes. So before you answer, think of them first. Think which box should we put them. And after that, I'll check your answers together, okay? So
Okay.
think a bit and tell me what to do.
Okay, I am finished.
Okay, great. Who else is finished? Anyone else finished? Samiha, Najat, are you ready? Or not yet? Okay, so Rashid, you can start. You can start with okay, choose 6 words, the first 6 words. Tell us where you want to put them, Rashid. For example, hot. Where do you want to put hot? Which box?
مربع تاني.
Here, you mean?
No. سادس واحد.
Here? Okay. Okay, what about the next word? Bit. Where do you want to
in
put
the second one.
Up or down, the second one?
Up.
Okay, so here. What about bite?
In the second one down.
Okay, second one down. What about plane?
In the first one down.
Okay. What about bone?
In the third one down.
So you want to put, do you think hot and bone, do they have the same sound? Hot and bone, is it the same sound or not the same sound? What do you think?
The same sound.
So do we say hot or do we say hot? Do we say bone or do we say bon? What do you think?
Okay. So hot, it's up.
I think that's right. So maybe hot should be in the top group. So let's put it in the top group. So maybe hot. Oops, not this one. So hot maybe is in the top. Bone is in the bottom. And we have plain is in the second bottom. All right, and what about, let's see someone else. Samiha, what about actor? Where do you want to put actor?
Actor.
Where do you want to put actor? The sound ah.
First, like hat.
With hat, you mean? Okay, just a second. Okay, so let's put actor in the first box. What about, Samiha, what about the next word, slim? Where do you want to put it?
The second.
All right. What about, we have shot. Where do you want to put shot?
The third.
Okay. What about date?
Date, it's
Where do you think it should go?
With hate.
Date
Where?
with, I think I have a repeated word. This is bite. You want to put date with hate?
Date with hate, yes.
But we don't have hate here. In this group, we don't have hate.
No, I write it in a paper. I write hate.
You're right. Date and hate are the same, but in this box we don't have hate. So this means you have to look for another word which has the same vowel sound.
Yes. With the plane and the first bottom one.
Okay, so you want date with plain.
Yeah.
What about smoke?
Smoke in the last one with bone.
All right, so smoke and bone. Okay, interesting. Let's see, Najat. Najat, where do you think we should put chat? Where do you think it belongs? In which group do you think this sound?
Under the plan.
You mean with plan and actor?
Yes.
Okay. What about realize?
Second, under bite.
Okay, so you want it with bite. What about the next word? Stop. Where do you should think
Under shot and hot.
Okay, shot and hot and spot. Stop, I mean. All right. Okay, last word, Najat. What about game? Where should we put game?
Gay.
Game.
Date.
All right. Okay, so game should be here. All right, let's see someone else. Who would like to guess? Maybe Safiya or Manan. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I am here.
Okay, Hana, welcome back.
Alhamdulillah.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, good to hear that you're back. Okay, Hana, tell us, what do you think? Where should we put these three words? Write, wrote, and written.
Write, second.
Second in the top or in the bottom?
In the
So do you want write? Do you want it with bit and slim, or do you want write with bite and realize?
bit slim.
You want right here.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about the pronunciation? What do you think? Can you read all three of them? Can you read all of them?
Right.
Okay. And what about the other?
Bit slim.
Is it the same sound?
Right, number one heart.
Right with?
With the first.
You mean with actor and chat?
Yes.
Okay, so do we say actor, chat, and rat? Or do we say right? Do we say rat or do we say right?
Right.
Okay, so right and chat, is it the same sound or not the same sound?
Not the same.
Okay, so this means we have to put it somewhere else.
Second, bit slim, right.
But here we have bit and here we have right. I. So is it the same?
No, bit.
You mean the second box in the bottom?
Okay.
You mean like bite and realize.
Right.
So bite and right. Is it the same? Bite and right?
Yes.
Yes, you're right. It's the same. Bite and right. So I think it's the same. Let's put it here. Bite and right. Okay, what about this one, Hannah? Wrote.
Wrote مع hot to short to stop.
Okay, so do we say wrote or do we say rot? Because hot
wrote.
shot. So here, because we have hot shot stop, it's an sound. But here we don't have we have road.
مع smoke.
Very good. I think you're right. Because we have road, smoke, bone. So it's the same sound, right?
Right.
Sound. Okay, so the last word, Hannah, written. Written. Where do you want to put this sound? Written.
Second مع bit slim.
I think that's right. Written, bitten, bit, slim. I think you're right. Okay, let's confirm your answers. Let's check if all of these answers are correct or not. Let's do the listening. So I want you to listen to check, and then we want to listen again to practice, okay? So let's listen.
Plan. Actor. Chat. A. Plane. Date. Game.
Okay, so our answers, are they correct or not correct? What do you think?
I didn't hear all of the.
You didn't hear all of them?
Listen.
No, just the first two.
Just the باقي انقطاع ولا ما سمعتوا شيء? You didn't hear it? Okay, sorry, let's repeat it again. Tell me if you can hear the track now.
Track 51.
Did you hear that, Rashid?
Yes.
سميحة, everyone?
لا أنا ما نسمع شيء.
ما سمعتي شيء؟
لا.
هذا ما تسمعيش فيه توا؟
Plan. Actor.
سمعتي حاجة ولا ما سمعتي شيء؟
لا.
تستعملي في آيفون صفية؟
لا هواوي.
تقريبا. Okay. Let's try again. مشكلة كان مغير السكرين اختفوا الإجابات. Okay, tell me who can hear this, okay? Let's listen again. Okay.
Track 51. Plan. Actor. Chat.
هل سمعتوا حاجة؟
Yes.
صفية سمعتي؟
لا.
اوكي تقدري تجربي تطلعي من الغرفة وترجعي؟
اوكي.
يا ممكن عندك مشكلة بسيطة إن باقيين سمعوا. Did you hear it, سميحة?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so let's continue with the second group.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. Hello, Noha. How are you today? Okay, So let's listen to the second one. Mhm.
A.
Ah.
Plane.
Mhm.
Date. Game.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. Hello, can you hear us? تسمعي فينا؟ نهى؟ hello عليكم السلام. ممكن ما تسمعيش فينا. نسمع فيك يا نهى.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Because the connection is weak.
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm okay. We're fine, thanks. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're doing a pronunciation exercise. We're just checking our answer. Can you see our answers here? So we're just checking them. So the first two boxes are correct. Our answers are correct. Now we're listening to the other ones. So let's continue and let's check.
Bit. Slim. Written. I. Bite. Realize. Right. Oh. Hot. Shot. Stop. Oh. Bone. Smoke. Wrote.
Okay. So this means all of our answers are correct, which is great. All right. So this is the effect of the letter E at the end. It changes the sound of the vowels. So hat becomes hate, win becomes wine, not becomes note, bit becomes bite. For example, the smoke, write, and wrote is, written, write. It's a bit different. What else do we have? Plan and plane, also different. So this is a quick revision of the effect of the letter E at the end. صفية سمعت الصوت في الأخير؟
إيه كويس.
Okay, تمام ممتاز. All right, very nice. So let's continue with our exercise. Let's go on. So here, listen and write the words. Now, it's going to be the opposite. So we're going to listen to a track, and I want you to write the correct words, or the words that you hear. So we want to write them in a list. So let me prepare a little box for you. Okay, so we can write the words here. Okay, let's listen. Okay, before we listen, let me explain the question one more time. So number 3, it says listen and write the words. So I'm going to play the recording twice, so you can hear it 2 times. And I want you to write the words that you hear, okay? So let's do it together and let's listen.
Flat. Postcode. Swim. Exercise. Cost. Decide. Decision. place, phone,
Okay, so let's listen again. But before we listen, let's check your answers. So we have, I think, 8 words, maybe 10. Okay, so what's the first word you heard? What's the first word? Did anybody write anything? Do you have
Flat. Flat.
Okay. How do you? Okay, flat. What about number 2?
F-L-A-T.
Okay. The second word.
Basket.
Who heard number 2? Anyone else heard the second word?
Postcode.
Postcode. You think postcode? How do we write it?
P-O-S-T-C-O-D.
Okay, so maybe postcode. Okay. What about the third word?
Maybe. Swim.
Swim?
Yes.
Is it swam?
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
swimming? Which one? Swim or swam or swimming?
Swim.
Swim. Okay. I'm trying to confuse you just to check. Okay, what about number 4?
Exercise.
Okay. How do you write exercise, by the way?
E-X.
Mhm.
S.
S.
E-R.
C-E-R.
No, it's no point. E-X-E.
X-E. Okay. Like this.
Yes, R.
Okay.
S-I.
S-I.
Z-E.
Z-E. Is that correct?
No.
No.
Okay, so what do we need to change?
S changed, replace it with C.
Okay, so let's replace the S with a C. After that, anything else we need to change?
C-I-S-E.
Ah, S instead of Z. Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay like this?
Yes.
All right. What's the 5th word? Do you remember word number 5? Did anybody write it?
Cost.
Cost?
Yes.
How do you spell it?
Cost.
Cost.
Mhm.
C-O-S-T.
C-O-S-T.
All right. Number 6?
Decide.
Decide.
Yeah, how do we spell it?
D-E-C, no, C-I-D-E.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What about word number 7?
Decision.
Okay.
Decision.
How do we write it?
D-E-S-I-G.
C.
Mhm.
G-I-O-N. I-O-N.
Like this?
O-N. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes.
Is it correct like this?
Yes.
Who says yes? Is it?
No, I'm not agreeing.
You don't agree? Sophia, did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay, but who disagrees? Who thinks this is not right? Who can give another spelling?
D.
Okay.
I-S-I-O-N.
C-I-S-I-O-N.
S-I-O-N.
Okay. After C-I? S-I-O-N. Like this?
Yes.
Is it correct like this?
Yes.
Who agrees? Who thinks this is the right spelling?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Okay, so this means we have to remove this one. Okay, did you hear the last word? I think decision, was it the last word, decision?
Place.
We
Oh.
have another word. What's the next word? Place.
Place. Yes.
How do we spell it?
Place.
Okay, P-L-E-C-E. Is that correct? Does everybody
Yes.
agree? Do we have any other words?
No, just the fourth one. It's I think it's wrong.
I think the spelling is wrong. What do you think the correct spelling is? What do you think it is, Rashid?
I think there's S after the second A.
So you think it's like this? After the second E, there's an S, like this? Is this what you think? Like this? Sorry. Is this what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Who agrees? Who thinks this is correct?
No, I'm not agree.
Does anybody agree? Does anybody think this is correct? I think, Rashid, maybe you have to buy me a chocolate, I think, because nobody agrees with you. Okay, I've got an idea. Can you check it, Rashid? Can you check it in Google? Check it and tell me if the spelling is right or not, okay? And
Okay.
let's listen one more time.
Phone.
Phone, we have another word, phone. You mean after place we have phone?
Phone, yes.
Okay. I can't remember, to be honest. Phone. How do we write it?
Phone.
Okay. Do we have another word? Number 10, do we have 10?
No.
No, just 9. Okay. All right, so let's check your answers and let's see if they're correct or not. Let's take a look.
Exercise, صح.
The first or the second?
The first.
Okay. So this means, whoops. So the second is not correct.
5 chocolate.
Yes, you need to buy some chocolates for all your classmates, Rashid.
Okay, I will send it in the messenger.
Send it in on Facebook, yes. Cyber chocolate emoji. You can send a chocolate emoji. Okay, let's check your answers. Let's listen.
Track 52.
Flat. Postcode. Swim. Exercise. Cost. Decide. Decision. Place. Phone.
Okay, very nice. So all of them are correct. So which of these words have a final E? So how many of them have a final E?
4.
Yeah, we have postcode,
Exercise.
decide,
Place.
place, and
Phone.
phone. Yeah. Okay. But let's imagine these words without an E. How do you pronounce it? For example, let's say there's no E. How would you, who would like to try this? Let's remove the E, for example. How do we pronounce the O now?
Postcode. Postcode.
But without the E.
Code.
Cod. Cod.
Postcode. Yes.
Cod. Okay. What about, let's imagine there's no S. So how does it change?
Exercise.
Sis.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes a short I, right? Short I sound. What about decide?
Decide.
Sit. Yeah, decide.
Decide.
What about place?
Place.
Black.
Plus.
Plus.
No, black.
Yeah, because the C without an E is ka, so plus. But plus, it's like in French. No, that's plus, different. What about phone?
Phone.
Fun. Fun. Yeah. So you can see that the letter E is very important. It changes the sound of the vowel before it. So this is the idea of this exercise. So I think we can move on. Let's check our next lesson. All right, so in this lesson, we are going to talk a little bit about the environment, okay? So the environment, does anybody know, or can anybody explain, what does it mean to talk about the environment when we say the environment? And what's the difference between the environment and maybe the world? Is it the same thing? Or is it different? The environment. Okay, what about in Arabic? Who can give me this word in Arabic, the environment in Arabic?
بيئة. البيئة.
That's correct. This is the meaning of the environment. So in today's lesson, we are going to talk a little bit about the environment, and we will also talk about will, how to use the verb will for prediction. Okay, so if you want to predict something in the future, so you want to say if something maybe will happen in the future, this is a prediction, you can use will. So for example, if I want to predict the weather tomorrow, I can say, I think tomorrow will be hot and dry. So this is the meaning of prediction. So in Arabic, what does it mean? Predict and prediction. What does it mean? Predict and prediction. Who can tell me?
Arabic.
Yeah, in Arabic, what does it mean? Predict and prediction.
تنبؤ بالطقس أو حاجة هيك.
توقع يعني.
Yes. توقعات, تنبؤات. It could be for anything. It could be maybe for the weather, maybe for the political situation, maybe for war. It could be about anything, okay? So this is called a prediction. So first of all, let's start with some vocabulary. So you can see the lesson is called A Crowded Planet. Do you agree? Do you think our planet is crowded, or do you think it's not crowded?
Crowded, of course.
Okay, Samiha, you think it's crowded?
Yes.
Okay, who else thinks it's
Not
crowded?
crowded.
Not crowded, Rashid? You think it's not crowded?
Just Tripoli.
Only Tripoli is crowded. But what about the rest of the world? I mean, outside of Libya. Do you think it's crowded or not crowded?
The earth.
The earth in general, yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about the earth in general. What do you think, Rashid?
Yes, it's crowded.
Okay, Samiha
I think no.
it's... Okay, Rashid thinks no. Who else thinks it's crowded? Anybody else has an opinion here? Who thinks it's crowded? Najat, what do you think?
Yes, I agree.
You agree?
I think the number of population increasing year by year.
It's true. Do you know what the population is now?
9 billion.
Almost. Almost 9. Is this a lot or not a lot?
A lot.
Yeah, I think it's a lot, right? But why are there so many people? What's the reason?
the age بيسموه فيه بالعمر
Okay, people are living longer.
Yes.
This is
And
true.
environment changed.
The environment changed. In which way did the environment change? Did it change in a good way or in a bad way?
Both.
Bad way.
Both.
In both?
Yes.
Okay, how did it change in a good way, in your opinion, Ajat? How did it change in a good way?
The currency, there is money, there is the medicine is available.
True.
Before, no. Lifestyle changed.
I think that's right. Lifestyles have changed. People are richer today compared to...
And more educated and more keep healthy and more
that's
options.
also right. You're right. These are good changes, I think. But Sophia, what are the bad changes? What do you think are the bad changes in our world or in our environment? Can you give me an example of something which you think is not a good change in our world? Like what?
I don't know.
What about
technology more developed?
True.
Development. Technology.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
More producing.
Yes, we produce more food now compared to 200 years ago, for example, or 100 years ago. There's more food now. This is maybe a good thing. Rashid, what do you think?
Robots.
Robots. There are now robots, right?
Yes.
But there are also zombies. If you go to to a petrol station in Libya, you can see there are zombies waiting in the line. So we have if you want petrol, if you want to refuel your car, you go to a petrol station, right?
Yes.
And usually there are lots of cars waiting. There are long lines, right? And in long lines, usually you can find zombies waiting because everybody's crazy, right? So I'm just joking, of course. We don't have real zombies. Maybe we do. Maybe our politicians are zombies.
Yes.
But I agree with Rashid. I think there are more robots and more automatic things, right? Like automatic washing machines. We have automatic printers. Everything is automatic now. But in the past, people, they washed their clothes with their hands, right? They didn't use cars. So there's lots of development. I think this is true. So now we want to talk a little bit about the environment, and we have some vocabulary here in exercise number 1. So let me read the words for you first in the box. So we have the environment, the world population, food, pollution, rainforests, the cost of living, oil and gas, floods, green energy, wildlife, global warming, the planet, and climate change. And the last word, the earth. Okay, so maybe some of these words are new. I know some of them are new, but I want you to guess first. I want you to put these words with the right verb. So here I'm going to show you we have 3 verbs. We have 3 verbs. We have protect, produce, cause. So we have 3 different verbs. I want you to choose the correct verb with the correct word or correct phrase. And we also have another option here. The world population is increasing and something else is increasing. But first of all, let me give you some time. Take a few minutes to think about this, and then we can check it together, okay? So the first answers are used in the example, the environment, protect the environment, هذه نستعملها. produce food تهدف الميثان و cause pollution. So I want you to think about rainforests, the cost of living, oil and gas. Put them in the right place. Take a few minutes first and we'll check it together, okay?
Okay.
Okay, if anyone is ready, you can say you're ready and we can check.
I'm ready.
Okay, nice. Anyone else finished? Just only Rashid? Jad, are you ready? Samiha?
I'm ready, yes.
All right, nice. Okay, let's check your answers. So, okay, so let's divide them. So, okay, let's do them in turns. Okay, maybe it's better this way. So rainforests. Okay, Najat, where should we put rainforests?
Protect rainforests.
Okay. Protect rainforests. Rashid, what about the cost of living? Don't forget that we have also this box. Latia book. What do you think, Rashid?
Cues.
Cause. Actually, no. For the cost of living, it's the last one here, الأخيرة.
It's increasing, yes.
Yeah, the cost of living is increasing. The cost of living is increasing. Okay, Rashid, what about oil and gas? Tell us about oil and gas. Where do you want to put oil? Produce oil and gas. Okay, so that's right. Okay, Samiha, what about floods? Where do you want to put floods?
Roads.
Okay, cause floods. Sophia, what about green energy?
Cause.
Okay, when you talk about energy in general, do we cause energy, or do we protect energy, or do we produce energy?
Produce energy, but I put the earth is protect and the plant produce, which cause green energy.
But green energy is still energy, right? So
produce.
so this means I think it goes better with produce, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this means if you have a successful company, or maybe if you use solar power, solar energy, right? You can produce green energy, or maybe from the wind, or from the water, hydropower. Of course, all of this is green energy.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so this means we produce green energy. Okay, what about Naha? Are you there? Can you hear us, Naha? Are you there? I think you can't hear us. Okay, Hannah, can you hear us? Okay, Hannah is not there too. All right, so let's go back to Najat. Najat, what about wildlife?
Again, protect wildlife.
Okay, so we want to use protect wildlife. And Rashid, what about global warming?
The third one.
Cause, the third one, cause global warming. Okay. Samiha, what about the next one? The planet.
Protect.
All right, so we say protect the planet. Excellent, protect the planet. Sophia, what about climate change?
Cause
Climate change. All right, so let's put cause climate change. All right, Najat, the last one.
Protect the earth.
Protect the earth, yeah, protect the earth. All right, so all of the answers are, do we have listeners? Let's check if we have listeners to check it. No, we don't. Okay, so your answers are, of course, correct. These are correct. And the last one, the one that we can't see here in the screen. The cost of living is increasing. Okay, who can give me an example of the cost of living is increasing? And what does it really mean, the cost of living is increasing? Okay, Sophia, can you tell us what you think this means? The cost of living is increasing. Do you think it's true?
Yes, true.
It's true. Can you give me an
Yes.
example of the cost of living is increasing? Something.
Cars, increase the cost of cars.
Cars are becoming more expensive.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. So this is an
everything.
example. Everything is becoming more expensive. Okay. So you agree with this. So this is the meaning of the cost of living is increasing. This means things are becoming more and more expensive. This is the point, okay? Now we have a few questions. Let me take you through questions. So here we go. Number 2. It says, look at these sentences and tick the ones that you think are true for your country. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about Libya. So the cost of living is increasing. Sophia thinks this is true. Who agrees with her? Who thinks this is true? And who thinks maybe this is not true?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I agree.
Hi, Salman, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm good. Who agrees? Nairuz, did you say something?
Yes, how are you?
Hi.
I agree with Sophia.
You also think the cost of living is increasing?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else agrees? And who can give me an example or other examples why you think the cost of living is increasing?
I think food and all things, and now it's increasing.
Okay, so food is becoming, do you think food is becoming more expensive?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think this is only in Libya or do you think it's around the world?
Around the world.
I think around the world.
Najat, do you agree? Do you think it's around the world too?
Yes, why I think Libya is still paradise compared to other countries.
I actually agree with you. I think you're right. Libya, with all its problems, I think the prices here are nothing.
Enough to buy for the gas, for the rent, for the water, for everything, for heating, for...
Yes, of course, Libya compared to the past, it's not very good now.
But now we are going to increasing.
Yes.
Not like before.
But the minimum acceptable.
Yeah, it's still small. You're right. It's still compared to other countries, for example, in Europe or in the USA, you have to pay for everything. Your rent, your energy, the electricity, gas, water, heating, everything. Petrol,
I think,
taxes.
also it's related to increase the price of currencies all over the world. I think that that make this problem.
You
For everything.
mean the exchange rate of currencies? It affects the people.
Yes.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, especially in countries like our country.
Yes.
The exchange rate, of course, it affects us a lot because this makes our salaries weaker, right? You can't buy the same things with the same salary if everything is more expensive. Okay, so I think most of us agree with number 1, that the cost of living is increasing. Okay, in Libya, do you think there's more pollution now than there was 10 years ago?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
especially
I think,
in Tripoli.
Especially in Tripoli. Okay, so I think most of you agree. But why do you think there's more pollution? Where does it come from? From what? Or can you give me examples?
What's happening?
From the war.
The number of factories.
Factories? Do we have factories in Libya?
No,
War.
but More
You are
cars.
talking about Libya. I think.
Yeah, this question is about Libya. Yeah.
I think
Related to landfills, I think.
Landfills.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, can you tell us
Everywhere.
what a landfill is? What is a landfill? Samiha?
I think landfill. It's mean places where we collect all the rubbish and rubbish of everything. This is accumulated in same place and make a big pollution, I think.
Yes, this is the meaning of a landfill. So this is the place where they collect all the garbage, or all the rubbish, the waste, you know, and they put it
Everywhere. It's everywhere in Libya.
Yeah, we have lots of landfills, I think. So this is a problem. Okay. Rashid, you were saying something about pollution, other reasons or other causes for pollution in Libya, other than landfills. What else do you think causes pollution in Libya? What do you think? Maybe Noha or Safiya, what about you? Do you think there are more
past war in Tripoli?
The war, because of the war,
Yeah.
there was lots of pollution.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's right, because there was lots of burning houses, weapons. So I think this is a kind of pollution, if you think of it. Maybe yes. True. Okay. All right, so number 3, it says, most people want to protect wildlife and the environment. In Libya, is this true? Do we want to protect the environment?
What's mean wildlife?
Good question. Wildlife. Okay, who can explain wildlife in English, not in Arabic?
Okay. Can I try?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's the animals which lives in their natural area, not in farms or on zoo.
That's actually correct. Exactly right. This is wildlife. Rashid, so wildlife, it means animals which live in the wild, free animals. Do you get the idea? It's not in a zoo. It's not in a farm. It lives, you know, in the wild. For example, here in Libya, do you know the small birds we have in Libya? Do you know them, Rashid?
Yes.
هذا example على wild bird مثلا يعتبر wild bird بري يعني يربي فيه حد روحه. This is wildlife. Do you think people care about the wildlife? Do we want to protect it here in Libya and protect the environment?
Of course not.
No.
No, I agree. I think the only thing we want to protect in Libya is our bank accounts, especially politicians, I think. But the environment, I agree with you. I think we don't care. All right, number 4. My country produces most of its own food.
No, I'm not agree.
No.
Yes, I think Libya is one of the top consuming countries. We don't produce anything really.
Yes.
I think even our vegetables, some of them come from Tunisia now.
Yes.
Which is I think very scary, right? If you think of it. Imagine if they close the country. I think we will die from hunger.
Yes.
Nobody has anything to eat.
From the sea.
Or the sea, if they close the sea or the land, I think we will die from hunger. So I think
big problem, I think.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It's very dangerous because we don't make our own food.
Yes.
All right, number 5. It says there are more floods than there were 10 years ago. In Libya, do we have floods?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
No. Yes, there is.
In some areas they can get flooded, but do you think it's because there's too much rain, Or do you think because there's no infrastructure? Do you know this word, infrastructure? Let me explain this word. Yeah, so infrastructure, it means roads, the sewer system, things like this. This is infrastructure, bridges, things like. I don't think in Libya we have a very good infrastructure. So maybe because of this, we have floods, but I don't think it's because of the too much rain, right?
الكلمة الأخيرة
In
سمعنا
some areas.
هي بنية تحتية, infrastructure, بنية تحتية. So maybe we can agree. I don't know. But do you think there has been a change from the last 10 years, or do you think it's the same?
Worst.
It's worse?
There is a change.
There's a change? Do you think there are more floods now than the past? Or do you think maybe now, because we have photos and Facebook, we can see the floods that happen in Bir Star Milad and in Wadi Rabia,
Beefy.
in Bifi, yes, in very bad areas in Tripoli, lots of floods. I think even in the past it was bad, but maybe now because we have photos and Facebook pages, yeah, we know how bad it is.
Yes.
So I don't know if it has changed a lot, but I think we do have small floods. Okay, the last point. Our country produces more energy, more green energy than it did 10 years ago. Do you think this is true for Libya?
No. No.
I think it's false, right?
Yes.
Because Libya never really used any green energy.
Yes.
Because we're an oil producing country. So if you produce oil, you don't need green energy.
Not others, yes.
Yeah. So we just burn oil for our energy needs. So this means number 6 is also false. I don't think this is true in Libya. All right, so these are a few questions to think about, a few things which many scientists, they think about these things, and a lot of them are worried about the situation around the world, about pollution, the cost of living, wildlife, all of these things. So there are some people who are worried about it. But in Libyans, the good thing is we don't worry about anything. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. So this is not our business. We should focus on other things. Okay, so now we're gonna listen to a very nice interview. Okay, so we're gonna listen to Dr. Andrew Scott, and Dr. Andrew, he's an expert on the environment. Okay, so this means maybe he's some kind of scientist, or maybe an environmentalist. So he knows about the environment. Okay, so I want you to tick, after we listen, of course, after we listen, I want you to tick on the things that he mentions. Okay, so the things that he talks about, we just want to tick them. If you hear them, just tick them. This is the point, okay? But before we listen, I just want you to read these points first. Take a look at these points, just quickly read these points, and after that we can listen, okay? So when you finish reading these points, just say, we're ready and we can listen.
Doctor.
Yes?
What's mean global warming and...
Okay. So global warming, where is it? Global warming, climate change, okay. So I'll try to explain it in English first. So global warming, this is something that many scientists believe is true. They think that the temperature around the world is increasing. Do you get the idea? So they think that the average temperature around the world is higher or hotter compared to 100 years ago. And these scientists, of course, think this is dangerous because this will make the ice melt.
Yes.
Yeah, the ice in the North Pole.
Increase the amount of water.
Exactly. This will cause the sea levels to rise.
Freeze.
Yeah. And this means many areas around the world will sink, like Venice. Do you know the city of Venice in Italy? Venetia? تظبطها رشا Venetia. ديما يوروا فيها.
Yes.
Venice has a problem because it is still sinking, because the seawater levels are increasing, they are rising. And they are rising because the ice in the North Pole and in the South Pole is melting. Why is it melting? Because the temperature around the world is increasing. Do you get the idea?
Many islands to disappear from the map.
Yes, that's true. In the next 100 years, if the water level, the sea level continues, if it continues to rise, many islands will disappear. You're right. That's true. And many areas which are low, for example, like Florida, like Bangladesh, like the Netherlands, because these are low areas. So they will be affected first. Rashid, عرفت فكرة global warming.
احتباس حراري.
بالضبط. الاحتباس الحراري.
Related to the pollution.
Yes, and of course there's a relationship between global warming and pollution. It's a long relationship, kind of long, but there is a relationship. على حسب كلام الساينتست العلماء يعني شبه في نوع من الإجماع على الموضوع هذا. في some scientists or some politicians, they say this is not true. But for example, look at the temperature in Libya now. Last week it was 4 and 5. Today it's 30, right? It's a bit strange. So the weather is strange if you think of it, right? Because it was very cold just 1 week ago. And now it's very hot.
Yes.
So this is strange
today,
weather.
Like summer.
Like summer today, which is, you know, there's the weather is becoming irregular. Do you understand? So maybe global warming is true. ممكن في ملخبطة جو يعني. Maybe this is true. في نوع من الاحتباس. All right, so now let's listen. Let's listen to Dr. Andrew Scott, and let's see what he says about the environment. So let's play the track for you. Where is it? CD2 track 1. So let's change the CD2 track 1.
Second edition, Pre-Intermediate, by Chris Redston and Gilly Cunningham. This recording is copyright, Cambridge University Press, 2012. CD2, Track 1.
Today, my guest is Dr. Andrew Scott, who is the author of a new book called Our Future, the Earth in 2030. Dr. Scott, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Dr. Scott, what will our world be like in 2030?
Well, first of all, I think our planet will be very crowded. The world population is increasing by nearly 10,000 people every hour, or about 220,000 people every day. This means that in 2030, there'll be about 8.2 billion people living on this planet.
That's incredible.
Yes, it is. Especially when you think that in 1930, the world population was only about 2 billion.
Where will all these people live?
We think that about 60% of people will live in Africa and Asia. And in 2030, India will have a bigger population than China.
Really?
Yes, and cities will be a lot bigger. We might have 100 cities with populations of over 20 million.
And of course, all these people will need food, water, energy, and a place to live.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the problem. It won't be easy to produce food for everybody. And as I'm sure you know, global warming is already changing our climate. And by 2030, some countries won't have enough water for people to drink.
Oh, it sounds a very depressing picture. Is it too late to do anything about it?
No, not at all. There are a lot of things we can do, but we have to do them quickly. Firstly, we need to use less oil and gas, because this causes global warming. But the good news is that we're producing more and more green energy, and this will be very important in 2030.
What else can we do?
Well, we also need to protect the rainforests, because they help to stop climate change.
OK.
And of course, the other thing people can do is not have so many children. It's the enormous increase in population that's causing the problem. But whatever happens, life in 2030 will be very different for billions of people.
Dr. Scott, thank you for joining us today.
Okay. Now, before we listen again, let's just try to take some of the things that he talked about. So, what are the things he mentioned, the things he talked about?
Cities in the future.
Okay, so he talked about cities in the future.
Yes, and food and
more
water.
crowded.
I heard someone say green energy. Salma, did you say?
And the global warming and climate change.
Yes.
The world population in
2030.
Yeah, he talked about in 1930. Did you talk about the
2030.
Yes, more crowded.
Yes, protecting rainforest.
Correct. He talked about protecting rainforest.
And food and water.
That's correct. He also talked about food and water.
Yes, the number of people about 65%.
In Africa.
Live in Africa and Asia.
But this is not a percent. This is age. The number of people over 65.
About percentage.
He did. Yeah, you're right. He said that 60% of people will live in Africa and Asia. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, he did talk about that. Okay, so these are some of the points he mentioned. Correct. Now, I want to see if you can remember. Let's answer true or false in the next part, and then we can listen again to check. So here, these are 6 points which we listened to. Take a minute.
First one, it's
Do you think it's true?
The planet will be very crowded.
Okay.
very crowded.
But remember, you have to answer according to what Dr. Scott
about
thinks.
2030.
Not what we think, what he thinks.
Yes, what he said.
Yeah, exactly. About what he said. This is what we want to answer. Okay, so you're right. Yes, he did say the planet will be very crowded in 2030. You're right.
Yes.
Number 2?
Right.
I think 2.
False.
I think
No.
False.
9 billion.
I think true.
True.
Yes.
8.2
billion. I think 2 billion.
In 2030.
No.
Now,
2
It will
billion.
be about
False. 9 billion.
4 was 2 billion.
Nine.
But
Okay, let's put right and wrong because we're not sure. So this means we'll have to
3
listen.
false.
We'll have to listen.
False. 3.
3 false.
India
yes, because
you have
India
a bigger population than China.
India than China.
Okay, so it's the opposite. Okay.
Yeah, 4 true.
True. Did he talk about this?
No.
No. 100 cities,
No.
not 10 cities.
100
cities.
Yes.
So not 10, 100.
Yes. 100. Yes. False.
I think because we already have 10 cities that have more than 20 million.
No.
Yeah, I think we already have this now. I think cities like London, Tokyo, Mexico City, maybe Paris, Istanbul. Yeah, I think all of these cities already have more than 20 million, I think.
Yes.
Okay, now, what about number 5?
It's true. Not easy. Not easy to produce food.
So Maybe you have to start getting used to diets now, maybe, because they're.
Yeah. That's why they may produce corona.
Yes, maybe to reduce a little bit, help manage the world population.
Yes.
The only
Six
problem
is true.
6 is true, and 6 is also true.
True, yeah.
I think the problem with corona it doesn't affect young people who can have
new
children.
corona.
It affects old people. I think we need a corona that affects young people.
COVID-20 for young people.
Yeah, so they don't have any children, so we can reduce the population.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me play the recording one last time so we can confirm your answers, and we can also check number 2 because there's a bit of disagreement with number 2 in your answer. So let's listen one last time.
Face2face, second edition, pre-intermediate, Chris Redston and Gilly Cunningham, 2012. CD2, track 1.
Today, my guest is Dr. Andrew Scott, who is the author of a new book called Our Future, the Earth in 2030. Dr. Scott, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Dr. Scott, what will our world be like in 2030?
Well, first of all, I think our planet will be very crowded. The world population is increasing by nearly 10,000 people every hour, or about 220,000 people every day. This means that in 2030, there'll be about 8.2 billion people living on this planet.
That's incredible.
Yes, it is. Especially when you think that in 1930, the world population was only about 2 billion.
Where will all these people live?
We think that about 60% of people will live in Africa and Asia. And in 2030, India will have a bigger population than China.
Really?
Yes, and cities will be a lot bigger. We might have 100 cities with populations of over 20 million.
And of course, all these people will need food, water, energy, and a place to live.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the problem. It won't be easy to produce food for everybody. And as I'm sure you know, global warming is already changing our climate. And by 2030, some countries won't have enough water for people to drink.
Oh, it sounds a very depressing picture. Is it too late to do anything about it?
No, not at all. There are a lot of things we can do, but we have to do them quickly. Firstly, we need to use less oil and gas, because this causes global warming. But the good news is that we're producing more and more green energy, and this will be very important in 2030.
What else can we do?
Well, we also need to protect the rainforests, because they help to stop climate change.
OK.
And of course, the other thing people can do is not have so many children. It's the enormous increase in population that's causing the problem. But whatever happens, life in 2030 will be very different for billions of people.
Dr. Scott, thank you for joining us today.
Okay, so all of the answers are correct. What about number 2? Is it true or is it false?
True.
True.
Yeah, number 2 is true. Yeah, he said there will be about 8.2 billion people on the planet. Okay, so now we listen to Dr. Andrew Scott's opinion. And question C, they want our opinion. Do you agree with his predictions? Do you think what he's talking about will happen? Do you think they will happen? Or do you disagree? Do you think that his predictions are not true?
I agree.
Okay, Sophia agrees. Who else agrees?
I agree.
Okay, Sandra too.
I disagree.
Okay, Rashid, you disagree. Okay, let's see which points do you agree with and which points do you disagree with. Sophia, Salma, what are the points you agree with? Do you agree with all of his points?
The first one.
The first one.
The world population in 2030.
Okay, the world population. What about number 5? It won't be easy to produce food for everybody.
Maybe.
Maybe this is true too. But what about the technology in food production? Because now we produce more food than 100 years ago, right? So I think maybe do you think we can become better?
Oh, these guesses, just guesses.
All of these are guesses. Do you think they are just random guesses?
Oh, no.
Or do you think they're
Yes.
or do you think they're based on studies? What do you
Related
think?
to researches and studies.
So maybe it's a
You're right
guess.
about this.
It's a
I think
guess, but it's based on research, right?
Yes.
Okay, based on researches, but sometimes it's occur subtly different. And like now, all of people stay at home, decrease the pollutions, climate. Maybe
True.
also
Yeah,
there is a
sometimes.
changes
So maybe
for
we'll
better
have.
and not for worse.
It's for better for the environment, but it's for worse for the economy and for people, right? Because
Yes,
many
maybe
businesses.
for food, because
Yeah.
sometimes may have something happening. They change all of these researches.
Yes, maybe we'll have World War III, and this will be very good for the population, I think, because many people will die. So like World War I and II, I think almost I'm not sure of the number, but it's more than 100 million people died in both wars. And remember, back then, weapons were very simple, just guns and planes. They didn't have a lot of technology. Maybe they had the nuclear bomb, of course, but I think the technology now is much more dangerous, right? So maybe things can happen. So I agree with both of you. I agree with Nairuz and also Samiha. This information or these predictions, they are not random. They're based on research. So there's a very big likelihood, a very big chance this will happen. But at the same time, sometimes there are things which are unpredicted or unpredictable, right? Things which you can't predict. For example, before the corona, very, very few people predicted a pandemic, right? Because everybody said, oh, we are so advanced medically, we have vaccines and antibiotics and antivirals and everything. We can never have a pandemic like in the past centuries, right? But now we have a pandemic and we still don't have complete treatment. So this is a bit unpredictable.
Yes.
Okay, Rashid, you disagree. Which points do you disagree with? Can you tell me which points do you think will not happen?
The first one, the food and the water.
Okay, but why do you think the planet will not be very crowded? Why do you think so?
Right now with the corona, كيف نقولها يعني تحسنت الأوضاع أكثر.
Do you mean, are you talking about the population numbers? Or here, of course, Rashid, we're not talking about crowded بمعنى زي ما بنقول زحمة السير أو زحمة، نقصد العدد نفسه، عدد البشر نفسهم، هذا القصد. Do you get the idea? Crowded يعني ازدحام سكاني أكثر القصد. Okay, what about number 5? You disagree. You think it won't be hard. You think it will be easy to produce food for everybody. Is this what you think? Or do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. How? Or why? Why do you think it will be easy?
كوكب المريخ بالإنجليزي شنو؟
Mars.
Yes, right now in Mars there's science farming.
You mean maybe they will have farms on Mars in the future?
Yes.
Okay, it might happen because there are lots of scientists talking about Mars now, right? Many of them want to go to Mars. Do you think this is easy?
Yes.
Do you think it will happen? Do you think it will happen in 2030, in 10 years, 9 years? Or do you think maybe
Mars is a planet.
Yeah, Mars is a planet. Not Mars the chocolate. Mars the planet. Mars اللي هو المريخ مارس.
عندي نقطة تانية ما نعرفش كيف نقولها.
Yes.
هي أصلا شوكولاتة شكلنا مسمينها على الكوكب مارس. هو الكوكب أصلا مسمينه على إله الحرب روماني. مارس كان اسم إله الحرب الروماني. Yes, what's your point, Rashid?
نقدر نقولها بالعربي.
Okay, try in English first. Use simple words and try first.
They start to make food from بالمواد الكيميائية.
You mean we're making food from simple chemicals? Is that what they're saying? You mean in labs? في المختبرات ماكلة محضرة. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
True. There's also, have you heard of lab grown meat? Maybe some of you have read about this. Lab grown meat. Has anybody heard of this? Meat from the laboratory? It's not from a cow. It's meat, but it's not from a cow. Has anybody read about this? No? Let me show you a photo of this. Okay, let me show you. Here. Okay, so let me show you. Can you see the photos?
No.
Can you? Okay, just a second.
No.
Okay, let me share the screen. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very strange.
Yes, this meat is not, it's real meat, but it's not from a live animal. It's from culture, cells, cultured meat from cell culture. Do you get the idea?
Is it halal or not?
Good question. How can you know? Is it halal or not? How can you decide? Because there's no animal.
We can't.
It's a good question. It's
but
not,
maybe
If is it halal, I will never eat it.
Even if it is halal, you would never eat it.
Yes, never eat it.
Many people agree with
maybe
this.
cheap, more economic. Yes, economic.
This is what scientists say. They say because real meat, real cows actually cause a lot of pollution because they need a lot of food. So they need a lot of land. So meat is not very economic. It's not very friendly to the environment. You get the idea?
Yes.
This is what many scientists say. That's why many scientists say it's better to reduce meat and eat more vegetables because you can get more
Halal
vegetables.
certification.
Is there
That's
halal?
right.
Okay, so
The certification.
is there a certification? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Up there.
Up there? I didn't see any halal. Where is it?
This.
On the right? Left? This? I don't know if it says halal or not, but it's a good question. Anyway, so this is it's real, It's already available, but I think the price is still too expensive to be commercially successful. يعني موجود الموضوع هذا مش موجود، لكن قاعد مش
understudy maybe.
لا مش حتى understudy، هو نجح يعني وبيعوا فيه، لكن مش مجدي اقتصاديا مازال، يعني سعره مش it's like electric cars for example. موجودات لكن سعرهم مقارنة بالسيارات العادية ما يساعدش على نجاحهم اقتصاديا، يعني أغلب الناس مش حتشتريها. So the same thing with this, with lab-grown meat. But maybe in the future this will change. If this becomes cheaper, who knows what will happen. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about grammar. So here we have will for prediction, and we also have might. So in number 4 here it says, look at the sentences in 3b, so the same sentences we were talking about, then answer the questions. Okay, so the first question it says, do we use will to predict the future or talk about personal plans? So let's take a look at the questions. 3b heading. So the planet will be very crowded. There will be about 8.2 billion people. So all of these points, do you think these are predictions or personal plans? What do you think? And do you think Scott
could predict the future will be?
So these are predictions for the future. Are they personal plans or only predictions for the future? What do you think?
No, only predictions.
I don't understand your.
Okay, let me explain the question again. So question number 1, it's asking, it says, do we use will? أول حاجة هو يبينا نبنوا إجاباتنا على الفقرة اللي كملناها 3b. Okay. So let's read some of these examples. So for example, the planet will be very crowded. Okay. Number 2, there will be about 8.2 billion people on the planet. China will have a bigger population than India. Okay, so these 3 examples. Let's look at the question. What does the question say? It says, do we use will to predict the future or talk about personal plans? يعني المتكلم هذا.
No, predict.
Yes. المتكلم هذا ما كانش يدوي على خطته هو ما قالش.
For him and for himself, yes.
Exactly. He wasn't talking about his own personal plans, right? Yeah. He was trying to predict the future in general, not his personal plans. فهمتي الفكرة صفية؟
Yes.
بالضبط، هو مجرد بدينا ننتبهوا لطريقة استعمال الويل، كيف استعملناها ويل، أن كل الاستعمالات اللي كانت في السؤال كلها على الفيوتشر بصفة عامة، تنبؤات مستقبلية، مش خطط خاصة يعني personal plans. This is the idea. Now let's take a look at the verb that comes after will. What do we use after will?
Verb to be.
Verb to be always?
No.
Sometimes verb to be. You're right.
Yeah,
infinitive. I think.
Sometimes verb to have.
Sometimes have. Sometimes be. Sometimes when have done. Be. So the general idea is we need an infinitive.
Yes.
سواء كان infinitive be ولا have ولا أي infinitive ثاني. So we usually use infinitives after will. So let's write this answer. So we use infinitives. Okay, what about the negative of will? What's the negative?
Want.
You pronounce it, by the way. This is a very... So I want you to tell me what's the difference between these 3 words. How do we pronounce them? Who would like to try?
Negative for will.
Negative for
will.
Okay.
And
want. I want.
It mean like need.
Went past
Need, yes.
Went
go. Past of the go.
Okay, very nice. So all of you know the difference in grammar and the difference in meaning. That's perfect. That's really good. What about the difference in pronunciation?
Want. Want, went.
Okay, that's quite good actually, Selma. That's almost exactly correct. Can you say the first one again, please, Selma?
Want.
And the last one?
Want.
Okay, so okay, so the first one, here's a tip. Here's a tip. They're the same sound.
Want, don't want.
Yeah.
Want.
Same sound.
Don't want.
That's it. Don't, won't. It's the same sound. Don't, won't, don't. The second one, I don't think we have a lot of words with this sound.
Want.
I'm trying to look for a word which has the same vowel sound.
Can't.
No, can't is different. Want. I can't think of a word which has the same sound. The last one we have went and
Rent.
Rent. Good one. Yes. Rent, went, bent, lent. All right. So went, rent. Now the one in the middle is different. It's want. Well, it's, you know, it's kind of from the top of your mouth and maybe a little bit from your nose. Want. I want. So we have won't, like don't, won't, don't, want, and went. So try to pay attention to the pronunciation. So this means your answer is correct. The negative of will is won't. So won't, and of course won't, it means will not, right? It's the same thing. So you don't have to say will not. You can just say won't.
Won't.
All right, now what about number 4? It says, which verb do we use to say will possibly? Which verb do we use to say will possibly?
Might, maybe.
Correct.
Maybe.
Might is correct. Might is the right one. So might, it has the same meaning as will possibly. It means like will, but you're not really sure. Do you get the idea?
Mm-hmm.
So if you say it will rain tomorrow, or if you say I think it will rain, maybe you're 80% sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you say it might rain tomorrow, maybe you're 50% sure. So maybe yes, maybe no, right? So might is, it means you're not as sure as will. With will, you're more confident of your prediction. All right?
Repeat again.
Okay. Now the idea with will, let's say, look at these 2 sentences. I'm going to write 2 sentences here. All right, so here it is. So I can say, I think it will rain tomorrow. Okay? And if here it says, I think it might rain, or without even think, I can just say, it might rain tomorrow. So my question now is, which one do you think is more likely to happen? Which one has a stronger possibility to happen tomorrow? The first sentence or the second sentence?
Second one.
Second one.
Might rain tomorrow.
Do you think second one, there's a higher chance it will rain?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
the first one, there's a higher chance?
Second one.
The first one.
Second, I think.
Okay. Actually, it's the first.
First one.
Will is stronger than might. Do you get the idea? احتمالية حدوث الحاجات ب will أكبر من احتمالية حصول الأشياء باستعمال might. يعني للشيء اللي أنت مثلا متأكدة منه أنا حيصير، مش معناها 100% أكيد، لكن في الغالب will أحسن. مثلا زي اليوم تو الجو دافي حاليا صح؟ ومثلا غبرة. So you can say I think tomorrow will be hot. The same. Hot and dusty, right?
Yeah.
Hot and dusty. I think tomorrow will be hot and dusty.
Have a reason, you mean?
I have a reason. هذه زي فكرة مستر اللي هو دكتور أندرو، أغلب تنبؤاته كانت من النوع هذا. بلاش في أغلب التنبؤات استعمل will لأنه يبني فيها على الريسيرش الحالي، الداتا اللي عنده توا، المعلومات اللي عنده. So this is how he's making this predictions. But he used واحدة من الاحتمالات he used might. For example, if you take a look at number 4, we might have 100 cities with populations of over 20 million, right?
Sometimes yes, sometimes
so
no.
he's not very confident. يعني ثقته من النقطة هذه مش بقوة ثقته في النقاط الثانية مثلا. Do you get the idea? النقاط الثانية كان واثق أكثر من حصولهم فاستعمل will. نفس الشيء. For example, number 2, there will be about 8.2 billion. فممكن الشخص يسأل باش نعرف ايش بيكون السكان بناء على الأرقام الحالية. This is the idea. Of course, this can change. A war, maybe another pandemic, things like this. But if life continues normally, this number we will see this number. Do you get the idea? So very, very quickly, there's a bigger chance of something happening if you use will than might. This is the reason why in number 4, قال لك which verb do we use to say will possibly. يعني ممكن أقل احتمالية. This is the idea. Okay, now let's check our last question. I think we can also do it before we finish. Okay, so now it says make questions with these words. What are the positive and negative short answers in these questions? So number 1, who can change this into a question? Who can make this into a question?
Can I try?
Yeah, go ahead, Sammy.
Will more people use green energy?
That's correct.
Energy.
Yeah. Will more people use green energy? That's correct. Who can do number 2? Who'd like to try with number 2? Sophia, would you like to try with number 2? Can you make it into a yes/no question?
Okay, I will try. Do you think more people will use the green energy?
That's correct. Do you think more people will use green energy? That's correct. So this is a quick example of how to use will in yes/no questions, okay? So in our next lesson, let me show you what we'll talk about in our next lesson. So in our next lesson, we will do this exercise, number 5.
Sorry, doctor.
Yes?
Can you repeat first one?
Will more people use green energy?
Will more people do?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So in our next lesson, we will do number 5. We will talk about this and we will try to use will, won't, and might. So this is up to you. According to the ideas and according to your own opinion, we can change the answer. So you can say, I think, I don't think, it will, it won't, it might. So it's up to you. We can answer it together. We will also do a little bit of listening. How to listen for the contraction of will. I'll, you'll, will, they'll, because usually will, they sometimes contract it with the pronoun. I will, you will, becomes I'll, you'll, they'll, will, he'll. So they do this a lot with spoken English. So we need to get used to the pronunciation. So we'll do this together. We'll do a few exercises. And maybe after that, we can also talk about this next unit, never too old. So I think in unit 5, we are going to talk about the future in general, okay? Because in our first lesson here, 5a, we talked about will for prediction, will and might. And in our next lesson, we will talk about verb to be, going to. Be, going to. We will also talk about plans, hopes, and ambitions. So it's unit 5, all of it will be about the future. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, and I'll meet you again on Tuesday, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
You're
Good night.
welcome. You're welcome. Good night.